out by clearing our calculators out. So turn them on, press second and the plus sign right down here. So second and the plus sign. That'll take you into memory. When you get to memory, I want you to go all the way down to the bottom. On mine it is 7. Just reset all RAM, reset it, press enter. It'll tell you when it's done. Okay, so second memory down to reset. Do all the things that tell it to reset, and you are cleared. So we're all starting on the same page. Anybody need a hand? All right, well, let's get to it. We're going to go to the Stat button. That's located just to the left of your left arrow. Stat. There you will see Edit. That is the most useful function in this, so get used to using Stat. It's for statistics, okay? So a box and whisker plot, which is what we're creating here, is a statistical set of, or a way to represent sets of data, and it is statistics. So get used to this button. We're going to use it a lot through Algebra 2. Okay, we're going to edit a list. It should show you 2 lists. L1, that's list 1, and L2, that's list 2. And list 3, and if you continue tabbing right, you'll have all kinds of thousands of lists. We're worried about list 1. Okay, so if you want to look through it real quick, just to see how it works, we are going to enter data into list 1. Now you need to see these numbers that are on your page so that you can put them in. Okay, you're going to enter in all of these numbers. Okay, all those numbers across the screen, 10, 15, all of that. Okay, so you need to be able to see them. So when I go to edit and I want to enter these in, I press 10, enter. So notice here, just so that you can look at it, it says list 1 spot 2, and the 10 was in list 1 spot 1. Okay, so you just enter in all those numbers. So 11, I'll say them out loud if you want to put them in as I say them. 15, 10, 9, 14, 12, 8, 9, 15, 7, 10, 10, 14, 18, 19, and that should be it. Okay. The only reason I show you where list 1 spot whatever is because if I look at the last piece that I put in, it was list 1 spot 16. So I go through my list and I count them all and make sure that I put them all in my list. So I'm looking here on in my book, and I'm going to count them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and I got them all. Okay, so I just count them real quick to make sure that I put every single piece in my list. The most common error I see is someone just trying to be in a hurry and forgetting something in their data set, and then they get the whole problem wrong. Alright, to see all of this, you would just use your up and down arrows to tally through them and make sure that you put them all in correctly if you fear that you did not. Okay, but there are some neat things that you can do with this list. So go to Stat. Press the Stat button again. Here it tells you a lot of different things. You can sort this, you can clear the list, and you can do a few other things, but we're really worried more about sorting it. So I want to sort it, that way you can see them in order. And it's nice to sort it because it allows you to do a lot more with your data set. So press sort and put in list 1. So in order to do that, second and 1. So that's L1 right there. Second list 1, close your parenthesis. So it'll look like this in your calculator. Sort A list 1. Press enter, it tells you when it's done. So to check to make sure it's done, just press Stat, go back to Edit, and look at your list. And it's sorted for me, so it shows me everything in the order that it is supposed to be. Okay? Any questions? Anybody need help? Okay, what this does for you, in a sorted list, you can look through here and you can go, my mode is 10, because it shows up the most. Okay? My smallest number is 7, my greatest number is 19, so I can find my range by subtracting the 2. It's 12. It puts them in a nice order so that you can deal with them. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to plot these in a box and whisker plot on our chart. I'm going to remind you what a box and whisker plot looks like before we do that, though. So you might want to write this down. This is the most important piece that you're going to have. So to start, a box and whisker plot looks just like a number line. This is your minimum. This is your smallest number. your minimum is your smallest number. Okay? Up here is your maximum, or your largest number. Now it's called a box and whisker because there's a box in here. Looks like that. And there's normally a line in it somewhere. Okay, that goes straight down the middle. Okay. Here is called quartile 1, and I'll explain that one here in a second, but put Q1 for short. Okay. The other edge of the box is quartile 2. 3. I meant to say 3. Quartile 3. Now, technically this is Q2 or quartile 2, but we don't call it that. We call it the median. Okay? It's the middle number. Box and whisker plots are made up of minimums, maximums, and medians. So what quartile 1 is the median between the minimum and the actual median. So it's when I split that data set up. And over here, the quartile 3 is the median between the maximum and the actual median. Okay? So it's the middle of the middle, or the middle of the left side, or the middle of the right side, okay, depending on how you want to look at it. But I can do this on a calculator, so it's really neat. Go to stat plot. So in order to do that, it says stat plot right above y equals x. So press second stat plot. Should bring you to a screen that looks like this. Anybody not able to find it? Good. Press enter on stat plot 1. We're going to turn it on. So press enter to turn that one on. So now your on should be highlighted. Okay. The type that we want is a box and whisker plot. So we want to see this one right here. It matches what my drawing looks like, basically. It's the box and whisker plot, so I'm down and on the middle, right here. Okay, down and in the middle. Tab to the right, guys. Is it letting you know? Okay. So you just tab it over to the right, hit enter on that one, and it'll give you a couple of options here. My X list is basically asking me, where am I pulling this information from? I'm pulling it from list 1. So if I had multiple lists and I only wanted list 5, I would put list 5 in here. But for this case, it's list 1. So to change that, it would be second 1, but it was already in there as mine, as list 1. It should be in there as yours too. For the frequency, we're only going to deal with ones. Okay, we're only going up to 100%. Basically, that's what frequency stands for. It's 100%. Okay, any questions thus far? Okay, in your book, we're flipping pages, so if you want to follow along with that, we can. Press graph on your calculator, and you'll probably notice that it doesn't show up on your screen. It's because our window, and you don't need to press this button, I just want to show you, your window is set at -10 and +10, but the data set that we put in goes all the way to 19, right? So our graph doesn't necessarily show up properly. Does anybody not see a thing? Good. So our graph doesn't show up properly, but we can change that. So in order to put in all of our statistical data, I press zoom, and I will go to zoom stat. So most calculators, that's 9. So go to zoom stat, down there at 9. Press enter, and it puts it right in the center of your screen. So it's very nice to look at. Okay, any questions there? Okay, so what's good about this is, watch. If I press trace, that's this button right up here, top right, second one. If I press trace, it tells me exactly what I want to see. So I'll tab all the way over to the left where it says minimum. So it created this box and whisker plot for me. So if it gave you this problem with a set of data and said, plot this and create a box and whisker plot, I would only have to do this. Okay, I showed you my example of what everything needs to be, so we're going to follow it. I'm going to do a really small scale, but box and whisker plot will look like this. I need a minimum. If you look on your calculator, it told you at the bottom, minimum is 7. So I put 7. There's my minimum. And then I tabbed over 1. It even tells you what the name of it is. Quartile 1 is 9.5. So the beginning of my box is at 9.5. Okay, tab over one more time. It tells you that your median is 10.5. If any of your numbers aren't matching up, let me know. I need to look at your data set. Okay, so the median, noticing that it's farther to the left than it is to the middle, I did that same thing, is at 10.5. Tab over one more time, you should notice quartile 3 is over there at 14.5. And then our maximum should be 19. Okay, any questions so far? And if there's no questions, we're going to do the lab practice A. For A, okay, you should have entered everything into list 1, so I'm going to do a quick review. You would press stat, edit, entered everything into your list 1, and then made a box and whisker by going to second stat plot, turning it on, tabbing over to the stat that we were interested in, which was a box and whisker. Make sure that we're in the list that we want posted, which was L1 for me and L2 for Elion. So after that, I press graph. If I don't see it, which I don't in this case, I would press zoom, and I would go to zoom stat, which is actually just number 9. So I could hit number 9 on my calculator, and it would do that for me. After that, in order to copy it down on my paper, I press trace. I go over here to my minimum, which was 12. So everybody should have a minimum of 12. So I'm drawing my line right away. My minimum was 12. I'm going to start my box, which in relationship to the rest of my line is actually really small. Okay, so my minimum was 12. My quartile 1 was 30. My median was 33.5. And my quartile 3 was 43. And my maximum was 70. So I copy down everything from that chart that I should get from pressing trace. Okay, we've got to know how to do this. Now there's a little bit of information that you need to know. The stuff inside of this box from 30 to 43, has 50% of our data. Okay? It has 50% of the data in between where the box is hit. Okay? That's really everything you need to know for this lab. Okay? Any questions?